Hey guys, it's Mario here, and in this quick video we're gonna go over how to transition from a bulk to a cut. So how do you go from that mass gaining phase where you're in a caloric surplus, your goal is to maximize muscle gains, to a fat loss phase where you're in a caloric deficit and now your goal is to maximize fat burning. And this video is a follow-up, one of my recent videos that I made on how to bulk up properly as a natural lifter without getting fat, which is one of the biggest mistakes that I see naturals make all the time, simply gaining too much body fat on their quote-unquote bulk. So I would highly recommend you to check out that video before you attempt to do any kind of mass gaining. That video is going to be linked in the description below for you guys to see. And now let's go over that transition phase. So let's go over that bulking to cutting transition. And I want to introduce that third phase. I want to introduce a phase between bulking and cutting, which is called the pre-diet phase. And this pre-diet phase, what it is simply a period of time, 2 to 4 weeks, where you go to caloric maintenance level and you introduce a little bit of cardio. So introduced about 1 to 3 sessions of about 30 minutes of moderate intensity cardio. The rationale behind the pre-diet phase is simply that in our bulking phase, we don't do any cardio. We're constantly in a caloric surplus and our body has forgotten how to mobilize those body fat storages properly. And as Lyle McDonald says, one of the well-known experts in the fields of exercise and nutrition science, we need to relearn, reset up those fat burning pathways. And it's a really good idea to have this phase of about 2 to 4 weeks. I mean, for those who have the patience, I would highly recommend you to do the full 4 weeks of this, and you would go to maintenance level of calories and you would just introduce some cardio. And I mean, as I said, most of us don't do any cardio in our mass gaining phase. And if you guys watched any of my videos on bulking and my recommendations, I will always say, hey, keep at least 1 or 2 sessions of about 20 minutes in there, just to make sure that your body knows how to mobilize that body fat storage. And the pre-diet phase is quite a simple phase. And what you're gonna notice when you go into that phase is that there's a couple of benefits. So the first benefit is that you're gonna figure out what's your maintenance. Like now you're gonna know exactly what's your maintenance level of calories, because as you've been in a surplus for a while, you might have forgotten like what is the caloric intake for maintaining the weight. And that's something that you want to know before you actually go into a deficit. You want to know where you're coming from. You want to know that starting point. And that's a big benefit of the pre-diet phase. Additionally, when you introduce some cardio, you're going to build up some of that metabolic capacity. You're going to actually even burn some body fat, which is kind of an interesting side effect of all of this. Even though your maintenance, when you introduce some cardio, your body will maybe lose a pound or two, which is an interesting little bonus that you get there. Additionally, which is a very interesting point, is that you're going to avoid that dreaded shock to the system, which I often see when you go straight from a surplus to a cutting phase, straight to a deficit, that for a couple of weeks you're just feeling fluffy, you're feeling a little bit more chubbier, you're feeling a little bit more fattier, because your body still doesn't know how to deal with that deficit because you're still in a surplus. So there's a really strong rationale behind introducing this pre-diet phase, which is just 2 to 4 weeks. I know a lot of guys won't have the patience, so I would recommend a minimum of 2 weeks of this so you get a little bit used to it. And that would be my preferred way of going from that bulking, lean gaining, or whatever you want to call it, to a cutting phase. And I would highly recommend you to check out that and the video on mass gaining so you don't get into that pitfall where a lot of naturals fall into, where it's just gain too much body fat. So definitely check out the videos linked in the description below and implement the pre-dieting phase. If you're going from that bulk to a cut, you're gonna love it. You're gonna see a lot of benefits from that. Also psychologically, you're gonna slowly transition instead of making a gradual cut, which is a lot of food. I mean, going from a massive amount of food to a very little amount of food in that cutting phase. So psychologically also makes sense to do it step by step, and also gives you some time in that 2 to 4 week period to actually plan out your cut properly, to do some research, to make a nice little timeline for yourself so you know what to expect on that cutting phase, which is also something I covered, which is going to be linked in the description below as always. So hope you guys enjoyed this really quick video on how to do that transition. Definitely do this and you will love it. You will get the result. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. Aside from that, make sure to hit that subscribe button to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.